Make one YouTube video per week for 2 years and it'll change your life in a positive way. Guaranteed. According to Ali Abdaal, successful YouTuber and Cambridge doctor. Hi there, my name is Vota and I'm a full-time product design lead in the fintech industry here in Johannesburg, South Africa. This is the video that I hope that one day you come back and watch because, I've somehow made it and you've kind of decided that you'll kind of want to see where I started. That kind of thing you do with popular YouTubers. Yeah, this is kind of like, I'm kind of recording that now as my first video, kind of assuming that this approach of recording one YouTube video for the rest of my life, one YouTube video for the next 2 years will change my life positively in some way. As you can see, my first YouTube video is a little bit bad, I don't know, I haven't quite got the setup right, I'm already mumbling over my own words, but I'm hoping to show that what Ali Abdaal's expressing in this whole idea of creating YouTube videos one per week for the next 2 years is that creating YouTube videos is such a powerful way in upskilling yourself in many different skills. In this video, I'm going to share with you the reasons why I think starting a YouTube video is such a good idea. I'm also going to share with you the skills that I had to tap into just to make this video and how those skills might translate into my day-to-day work. For some time now, I've been playing with the idea of becoming a YouTuber or somehow creating a YouTube channel. I even did create a YouTube channel, but it was more on the gaming and streaming side of things. Now, I assume that since you're watching this video, like me, you have aspirations to somehow make it as a YouTuber or have it as this kind of cool hobby that you can have on the side and maybe even turn into a business one day. Now, you may be watching this video in the future, but as of recording in July 2021, I feel like the advice or that the feedback I would give now versus whenever you're watching this would be exactly the same. So here's my reason for starting right now with this YouTube channel. For too long, I held back from starting this YouTube channel because I thought I didn't have the right gear, I thought I didn't have the right experience, I didn't have the right ideas or good enough ideas to even share with people. The truth is, you just have to start with what you have, and that's with regard to the equipment that you use as well as the content and the ideas that you start with. Don't do what I did. When I started out, I went all out on the gear. As you can see, I've got quite a nice microphone. I used to have big light setups. I had multiple computers for my streaming. I had all the gear, the stream deck, things that I just really didn't actually need because I hadn't even gotten to a point where my content was actually drawing an audience. I was just buying the toys and the equipment because I thought somehow that was going to help me get started. Truth is, it just landed me up with a whole bunch of debt that I had to pay off. If you watch any of the really well-known YouTubers, you'll notice that most of their videos, or at least their first videos, are really low budget and low tech, low quality. Some of them are just outright bad, and that's okay because everybody has to start somewhere. And that's the kind of idea that I want to get across in this video, is that starting now is the best time to start, because as you progress in this journey, you're going to learn more skills, you're going to develop more ideas, and you're just going to get better and better and better. As for whether I think I'm smart enough or my ideas matter enough to be shared on the internet with you, well, I don't think the first 10, 50, 100 videos of mine are going to get many views, if any at all. So that's going to give me enough time to kind of refine my ideas, refine my technique, and even start to understand what my niche could be or which direction I want to take the channel. I kind of see it as a little bit of practice before more eyeballs start to see my content. So for now, all I've done is written down a few ideas that I know I can talk about and that I can talk for at least 10 minutes about, basically. And I've written down just a few ideas so that I know that once I start creating videos and content about those ideas, I'll inevitably come up with other ideas that I want to talk about. Even ideas that come up in the shower while you're driving, those ideas that just pop up sporadically and you think, ooh, that would be quite cool to talk about. Write those down. You can always try and expand on them later, but just write them down quickly before you forget them, because you will forget them. So don't stress too much about coming up with all your content right now. Just come up with a couple ideas that you can create some content about. Start there, and the other ideas will inevitably come along. Creating videos on YouTube builds a number of skills that you may not realize are important in your day-to-day life or in your career. Next, I'm going to talk about some of the skills I had to tap into just to make this video and how they might translate into my day-to-day job as a product design lead. Writing. So some of you might be able to, or think you're able to, just go kind of off script or ad lib and just talk into a camera just freely and blabber on for about 10 minutes and have perfect content for a YouTube video. Now, I highly doubt that's actually true unless you're kind of like some natural born talent or you're Casey Neistat or something. So in my case, like I'm sure it's in your case, a great idea is to actually write a script. Now, writing a script takes practice. Now, you might just think it's as easy as thinking it up in your head and putting it down on paper, right? You could create the whole YouTube video in your head, right? You thought you could. Now try putting those ideas down on paper. It's quite difficult. So if you think that like reading from an entire script is maybe a bit too daunting or a bit too challenging or not necessary, you could do something that like what I'm doing. I'm using a Trello board and I've just got key cards with some keywords, not the entire thing word for word. And it just helps me kind of reference every now and then to look at where I am in my script and reminds me which portion I should be talking about next. This also means that there's no pressure to memorize an entire script. You can just reference your keywords and hopefully the idea will spark the sentence that you wanted to say and it will flow into a paragraph. The more you do this, the more practice you get, the more naturally this will come. Camera setup and lighting. Now, as you can see, I haven't got the most high grade setup. I've just got an LED panel that I used from a while back. I've got a cheap kind of couple £100 ring light that I've got just to kind of try and create some sort of key light. And then I've got a battery operated LED light in the background just to kind of give some interest in the background. And I'm using my old iPhone 7 Plus as my camera and my iPhone 10 as my viewfinder right here, just so that I can kind of frame my shot and see what I'm doing. Now, you might not need this in product design in the world that I'm in user experience, but what it does mean is that it kind of gets the creative mind thinking and I have to consider my setup and plan ahead of time. Watch lots of YouTube videos, absorb a lot of content from other people who have tips and tricks about lighting because it is tricky and it makes a huge difference. I'm pretty sure that what my video looks like right now and what it looks like a year or two down the line is going to be very different because my knowledge of lighting and maybe my gear and my setup will improve and things will get better. But just some basic lighting will always help set a really great viewing experience for your viewer. If you don't have lighting, obviously try shoot during the day. If you have a curtain, you can sit right next to the lighting, use the sunlight from the daytime. It's a great source of light. It's natural and it's free and it's the best kind of light you can get. Speaking. Not just speaking English, but I mean public speaking and addressing an audience. Now, together with writing skill, the speaking skill is very important in trying to get really concise sentences and ideas across to your audience. If you're like me and you waffle a lot, it's probably a good idea to practice the art of writing short and concise sentences so that when you write your scripts, you can kind of follow the same pattern and therefore you're not going to kind of stumble over your own words and repeat yourself, which is like what I'm doing right now, and I'm kind of talking about the same thing and I do this over and over again and blah 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 blah. You can see where this kind of goes. Practice writing concise and clear ideas. So how would these skills translate into my day-to-day life as a product design lead? After all, the premise of this video is make one YouTube video every week for 2 years and it'll positively impact your life in some way, guaranteed. So I'm going to focus in this video on how these skills from making this YouTube video, may be translated into my day-to-day job as a product design lead. So as I said, I'm a product design lead, which means I am in some capacity expected to lead and impart some sort of knowledge and guidance onto other people in a team environment. The idea is that YouTube is going to force me to learn how to portray concepts and ideas in a concise and consumable manner to an audience such as a YouTube audience. In my day-to-day job, I would have to do this with product owners and teams and squads and other designers or even end users. YouTube, if you wanted to, can become a business. So in some capacity, you're going to learn some sort of form of project management. If you take YouTube seriously, even as a hobby, maybe not as a business, but you want to put some kind of effort into it, you do need to plan out a roadmap. Writing skills. As I mentioned earlier, writing skills and speaking skills are very similar in that you need to be able to write a very compelling and interesting user story, user journey. As a product design lead, I am expected to kind of get complex ideas across to users, to product owners, to development teams, or even to stakeholders. So concise writing skills as well as creative writing skills become very important in the product design world, because in the case where you are doing some sort of creative writing, you might be wanting to portray a user journey or a user story. In the more user experience side of things, you need to write out clear instructions or clear guidelines for designers to execute against certain requirements. So writing skills as well as speaking skills are very important in both creating YouTube videos and in the product design world. And of course, creative thinking. As I said, with the lighting setup, the creative thinking side of things, YouTube is the mecca and the center of creative content and creativity and creative thinking. So immersing yourself in that world is bound to have some sort of positive impact on your thinking, your creative solutioning, and just your day-to-day life. The great thing about YouTube is that it gives everybody the equal platform to express themselves creatively online and to even potentially start businesses. Make one YouTube video per week for the next 2 years and it will change your life in a positive way, guaranteed. That's the promise that Ali Abdaal has made, and that's the promise that I'm going to make quite blindly at this point, since I'm starting this journey right now. I'm kind of agreeing to it in such a way that I haven't even experienced it myself, but it just makes so much sense to me that I'm agreeing to it right now, right up front, to say I think that this is a guarantee, that if I make this journey, if I see this journey through and I make one YouTube video every week for the next 2 years, that in some way my life will change positively in some way, shape or form. And I hope that this video inspires you to take that step. If that's what you've been waiting for, if that's the little push you needed, a little bit of inspiration you needed, I hope this video did that for you, and that you go right now, pick up your camera, your cell phone, like what I'm doing, put it on a tripod, hit record, put yourself out there. Share your ideas with the world. It's never too late to change, so why not start right now? Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.